Portugal is great. Like I come here quite often during the year. It's super close to home, so I love it. It's like the waves are really good for longboarding, and there's heaps of wave everywhere as well. So it's like super easy to surf and not like surf with so many people as well in the water. So no, I love Portugal. So we just arrived in Carcavelos, and I'm excited to go surfing here. It's the first time, so let's do it. I haven't surfed in a wetsuit in the last 3 months, so it's gonna be interesting, but yeah, I prefer surfing in a bikini. It's just so much easier. It's just like, can be in the water faster, and yeah, it's, I don't know, you get tan, it's nice. This is my baby. We've been together for the last 2 years. He got damage in the plane, but I'm here because I've been invited to the Duct Tape Invitational. It's the contest that Joel Tudor is creating with Vans around the world, and I'm glad we have one stop in Portugal. So I'm super excited to surf tomorrow at Ribeira. The waves must be really big, but I think it's like the best event that a longboarder can do. So I'm really stoked and honored to be here. I think that all the people who has been invited on this event are here because they have such a great surfing, great style, and like it's like kind of like elitist to be on that contest. So I think if we're all here for that, it's already because we have the style, and now it will just be about performance. The most important is to have fun and try to catch like 2 good waves, and yeah, be stoked with that. I was doing a lot of dance when I was younger, and I think I keep that dancer girl on the water, and so I hope I look like someone who do ballet on a longboard. But I don't know, like my style is really like mellow and cruising, and just yeah, trying to be elegant on the board as well. When I was younger, I used to have more pressure surfing because I was so frustrating when I wasn't able to express myself in the water. So I was putting a lot of pressure into the contest. When I grew up, I used to love contests a lot, and those days I think I prefer free surf. Even if I still love contests, I prefer free surf because discovering a wave that you haven't surfed, it's like something like super magical. But I always have that competing part in my mind, so I like to do contests, and it's fun because we're here with so many other girls, and it's like, or guys, and it's just like a big family that surf together for one event. So I don't know, I like both, but if I had to choose, I will do free surf my entire life. Well, I think the fact that the equal pay is now for girls and guys in the WSL is such a good thing, because today the girls in the surfing industry have improved so much, and they're not trying to surf like guys, they're like surfing like girls and like in the high performance, and it's like insane to watch and see how all those girls are training maybe sometimes even harder than some guys, because being like sport is like super macho, and so I feel like girls have always have to prove to someone that they can do it, and now to be recognized with the equal prize money, I think it's pretty sick, and it will definitely help like the surf, like feminine surf, to go higher because way more recognized.
En plus, c'est ultra profond, tu vois. Et si j'ai une craque, le matin, c'est un gros casse, il est grand, tout ça, j'ai arrêté, tu vois.
So my goal for the future in the surfing industry will be to win a couple duct tapes. that will be sick to actually win that contest. I would love to do like more surf trip with girls and have a solid crew of girlfriends that surf and like travel around the world. I'll just keep working for that and see what happens.
Ouais, j'ai commencé à surfer à la cano et premier souvenir, c'était sur mes premières vagues, mes premiers contacts avec l'océan aussi, d'y aller en famille et de passer toute la journée, de changer de support. J'avais un bodyboard, un skimboard, on nageait juste dans les vagues avec mon frère, ma sœur et tout. Donc c'était voilà, ce souvenir de l'océan pour moi, c'était vraiment rester plus de temps dedans, jouer avec, et cette passion de la nature, d'être là toute la journée, d'être libre et de le partager avec ma famille. Ça, c'était vraiment mes premières notions de surf, c'était attaché à ça, la liberté, le partage. Au début, je faisais de l'athlétisme et d'autres sports, donc le surf c'était vraiment quelque chose un loisir, quelque chose que je voulais garder, pas forcément faire de la compétition, mais que ce soit quelque chose pour moi, juste du plaisir pur. Et finalement, je me suis pris au jeu, j'ai commencé à faire quelques compétitions et j'ai intégré un sport-études. Donc pendant le lycée. Et donc là, c'est là où ça s'est fait un petit peu le déclenchement de « ok, je peux peut-être devenir professionnel du surf et en vivre et avoir des partenaires ». Voilà, c'est grâce à ça que j'ai commencé à avoir des partenaires et avoir la possibilité de partir, de suivre les compétitions autour du monde et de peut-être pas suivre l'école et le lycée. Enfin, après, j'ai eu mon bac, hein, mais de suivre après la fac et un côté plus études. Donc j'ai pas fait les études que je voulais. J'étais intéressée à cette époque plus pour être kiné, ostéo, et donc faire première année de médecine pour après être prise en kiné ou autre. C'était mon idée à ce moment-là, mais je me suis dit le surf c'est maintenant, les études à la rigueur je pourrais faire plus tard s'il y a besoin, mais voilà, je fais le surf à 100% et pas faire 50% les deux, donc voilà, je voulais vraiment faire quelque chose à fond, donc j'ai choisi de partir sur les vagues. Je viens d'une famille un peu, je dirais, traditionnelle où du coup, vivre du sport, c'était quelque chose de pas évident à concevoir. Donc c'était mon choix après. Donc quand tes parents et t'aimes ton enfant, si c'est son choix et 100% ce qu'il veut faire et que ça va le rendre heureux, voilà, le but c'était ça, donc malgré eux ils ont été d'accord. Il y a eu des moments où c'était moins facile à suivre et avoir confiance, mais en tout cas moi j'avais confiance en mon choix et je voulais y aller à 100% dans les vagues, donc après voilà, hein, t'as plus de 18 ans, ça reste ta vie. Ce qui est vraiment chouette, c'est le fait de faire toutes ces disciplines. Ça me permet, dans le surf de grosse vague, d'être meilleure et je sais pas, dans ma vie, je me dis tout ce que j'ai fait, ça a eu un sens et ça a un sens aujourd'hui et ça me sert et ça me permet d'être meilleure surfeuse. Ça, c'est dingue de se dire ça. Et ouais, mes premières compètes, c'était vers les 15 ans. J'avais commencé à faire des compétitions et première compète internationale, c'était en longboard. J'avais fait les championnats du monde et là, j'avais fait deuxième. Donc, on avait dit, bon, mais Justine, c'est plus une longboardeuse. Et puis après, j'avais fait des résultats plus en shortboard. Donc là, c'était plus, on mettait un peu plus dans la case de shortboard compétition. Et maintenant, je fais plus des grosses vagues et donc voilà, il y a cette case un peu qui se crée. Mais pour moi, le surf de grosses vagues, c'est parfait parce que ça réunit tout ce que j'ai appris dans le surf et ça m'aide dans mes grosses vagues et ça me rend que meilleure surfeuse. Donc c'est hyper épanouissant. Le fait de surfer une grande planche, le longboard, mais quand je suis sur ma grande planche à la rame, quand je prends les grosses vagues, là je suis habituée à surfer cette grande planche. Quand je suis avec ma petite planche de tow-in pour le surf tracté à Nazaré, c'est une planche qui fait la taille de mes planches que je faisais la compétition avec. Donc c'est pareil, c'est la technique de ma petite planche, des manœuvres et tout ça, mais que je peux avoir aussi sur les grosses vagues. Donc c'est trop bien. Pendant la compétition du Nazaré Challenge, j'ai pris, je pense, ma plus grosse vague de l'hiver et de ma vie personnellement. Donc ça c'est trippant de se dire qu'à chaque fois tu fais un record personnel. Après, est-ce que ça sera un record mondial et tout ça, on verra. Ça sera dans quelques mois qu'on saura ça. Mais en tout cas, voilà, c'était vraiment, moi j'avais la sensation d'avoir encore progressé. Et ça, c'est chouette. Ça, se dire que voilà, c'était une session qu'on a faite et qui était encore meilleure et notre meilleure session. Fred, il était à fond, il était hyper motivé, il a eu l'océan, je sais pas, il trouvait toutes les vagues, il était vraiment dans une bonne journée. Moi aussi, il y avait Clément qui était là, qui était aussi parfait. Donc non, c'était vraiment top. Il y avait un jeune aussi, Tony Loriano, qui était sur le phare et qui nous a fait la radio. Donc parfait, parce que lui, il surfe le spot, il connaît l'endroit aussi. Donc c'était top d'avoir toute cette équipe bien complète, bien motivée et vraiment passionnée, quoi. Nazaré, pour les surfeurs de grosses vagues, c'est l'endroit, hein, c'est le spot, c'est la Mecque, quoi. C'est là où tu apprends, où tu progresses, où tu es en constante confrontation et tu es là avec l'océan, quoi. Donc la fréquence, elle est incroyable ici. Tu peux surfer des grosses vagues quasiment tous les jours. Et ça, c'est dingue. Ça n'a pas de prix pour l'expérience, pour progresser. Non, c'est dingue. Donc ouais, on vient chercher la puissance de l'océan, le fait que ça bouge continuellement, c'est tout. Ouais, on continue, c'est changeant. Je pense il y a encore de quoi faire, vraiment. Donc c'est cette sensation aussi de se dire qu'il y a vraiment encore de quoi faire. T'es encore au début, à la moitié, je sais pas, d'une histoire et de ce sport, quoi. Donc même au niveau technologie, du matériel, des planches qui évoluent aussi, on peut évoluer encore sur la sécurité, sur plein de choses. Donc c'est intéressant de se dire sur l'équipe, comment on travaille ensemble et tout. Donc c'est chouette d'avoir autant de choses sur lesquelles on peut progresser, quoi. Ça, c'est dingue. Je pense que le fait de vivre ici, forcément, tu connais l'endroit, tu te sens bien et donc tu es prêt pour performer. Et voilà, nous, c'était une journée parmi tant d'autres dans l'hiver. Donc on avait déjà l'habitude, et même si chaque jour c'est différent. Donc voilà, ça c'est le surf, l'océan, ça bouge en continu. Tu peux jamais dire que ça y est, tu connais à 100%. Mais en tout cas, on a l'habitude de ces conditions. Donc c'est sûr que c'est un gros avantage. Mais parce qu'on adore, on aime l'endroit, on est ravis de passer du temps ici, de gagner de l'expérience, de progresser et tout ça, quoi. Donc ouais, ça fait 4e hiver qu'on passe ici, et maintenant on passe plus que l'hiver ici quand même. Pour cette compétition, donc c'était une compétition mixte, et le fait d'être un homme ou une femme, peu importe, c'était vraiment l'humain face à l'océan, face à la nature, et ça c'est trop bien. J'avais l'impression vraiment qu'il y avait une petite, je sais pas, une révolution du sport, du genre, et c'était cool de montrer que ouais, on est là comme les hommes, c'est pareil, c'est un individu, un surfeur qui est face à ses vagues et qui veut surfer de mieux en mieux et progresser. Et ouais, encore une fois, elle a pris des vagues géantes, c'était trop bien. Et le fait de faire équipage avec Sébastien aussi, pour moi, c'est énorme. Sébastien, c'est sûrement le meilleur surfeur ou un des meilleurs surfeurs à Nazaré de loin. Et il fait confiance à Maya pour le tracter, pour le positionner sur les vagues. Donc c'est dingue déjà d'avoir ce team-là qui est mixte et aussi de niveau aussi haut, quoi. Donc ouais, c'est rien que voilà, que Sébastien qui fasse équipe avec Maya, ça montre que dans le genre, peu importe, c'est vraiment la performance et les capacités du surfeur. Et Maya les a, moi je les ai, c'est chouette, je commence à tracter aussi Fred, on change, là pendant la compétition Fred surfait pas, donc on n'a pas changé, mais sinon on le fait aussi, ouais, c'est vraiment chouette. Dans le surf de grosses vagues en général, que ce soit avec Maya, mais que ce soit avec les hommes aussi, je la vois pas la compétition vraiment. C'est vraiment une gentille rivalité enfantine presque qui nous fait performer mieux, quoi. Parce que ça nous encourage, ça nous motive et waouh, ouais, elle vient de faire ça ou il vient de faire ça et ouais, j'ai envie de faire pareil ou de faire encore mieux. Et c'est plus voilà, cette émotion. Parce qu'on, mine de rien, on est tous là pour aussi surveiller un petit peu l'autre et on est tous là pour aider quelqu'un s'il a besoin. Et donc il y a ce côté qui est plus que juste une rivalité de performer. Non, il y a tout autre chose, il y a une aventure autour. Et donc oui, pour moi, on s'encourage, on se pousse vers le haut et c'est dingue à vivre. Et voilà. J'ai des objectifs, mais plus de records personnels. Et après, est-ce que c'est un record du monde et tout ça? C'est bien pour les sponsors, pour faire marcher un peu la machine, parce que voilà, finalement, on a envie, on a besoin de médiatisation, de visibilité, pour que les partenaires soient contents et qu'après, plus on a de soutien et nous, plus on peut faire de choses. Plus on a de liberté à aller surfer une grosse vague ou pas, plus on a de choix. Donc ça, c'est important. Et plus de sécurité aussi. C'est un sport, les grosses vagues, qui est quand même coûteux. C'est quand même dur de faire toute la saison. C'est un prix. Donc ça, c'est le côté un peu moins cool. Donc oui, un record, ça peut aider là-dedans, quoi. De pouvoir faire plus de grosses vagues, pouvoir prendre un billet d'avion pour aller surfer les championnats du monde et toutes ces choses-là, ça c'est le côté qui est un peu plus dur. Mais après, ouais, record personnel, moi, me dépasser, apprendre sur moi, faire des lignes chaque session de meilleure, de travailler toujours quelque chose de différent. Voilà, aujourd'hui, c'était faire une image de GoPro un peu différente. Demain, ça sera positionner mon corps sur la planche différemment. Ça sera tester une planche. Donc ça j'aime beaucoup. C'est ça qui m'attire, qui me fait vibrer, que j'aime énormément. Voilà, établir une confiance avec l'équipe, donc tourner pour que chaque personne passe à un poste différent et soit vraiment en connexion avec ce poste et sache vraiment comment l'autre personne va réagir quand il va faire la sécurité, récupérer la personne. J'aimerais m'investir autant à Jaws, mais non, c'est pas possible. C'est pas la même histoire, le budget, c'est autre chose là. Donc là, non. J'aimerais, hein, mais non, on n'a pas les moyens. Mais bon, ça serait cool, hein. Mais c'est autre chose. Donc sur Jaws, on n'y va que pour la compétition, où voilà, on peut se permettre d'y aller une autre fois, mais ça reste limite. C'est les États-Unis, c'est quand même un sacré budget. Et après, il y a une autre organisation. Il faut Voilà, tout ce qu'on a construit à Nazaré, ça prend du temps, ça prend vraiment de l'énergie et donc du budget aussi. Mais donc à Jaws, il faudrait vraiment passer énormément de temps. Donc là, pour moi, le plus intéressant, c'est d'être à Nazaré. Tu ne peux pas avoir plus d'expérience qu'ici et progresser, voilà, et être le plus en contact avec les grosses vagues. Ça, c'est le mieux du mieux. Donc après, Jaws, y aller, oui, mais pour performer sur une houle ou rester un petit moment pour surfer quelques houles. Mais ouais. J'aimerais, l'année prochaine, j'aimerais prendre une belle vague à la rame là-bas. Parce que voilà, j'ai quand même une histoire où la première compétition, ça s'est bien passé, mais j'étais encore un peu frustrée, j'avais pas pris les vagues que je voulais. Et l'année dernière, je me suis blessée, alors que j'étais bien partie, j'aimais bien, j'avais monté crescendo, là c'était la troisième édition de la compétition. Et cette année, non, j'ai pas du tout performé comme je le souhaitais. J'étais un peu prise dans une sensation de peur par rapport à l'année dernière, la compétition. J'étais complètement malade, on avait fait plein de voyages, donc mon corps était vide d'énergie. Donc voilà, j'ai envie d'avoir une meilleure expérience à Jaws, prendre une belle vague là-bas. Prendre une belle vague à Jaws à la rame et continuer de prendre des vagues immenses à Nazaré et d'avoir des lignes différentes et ouais, de s'engager, d'avoir un surf encore plus dessiné sur les vagues à Nazaré. Et puis après, dans d'autres endroits, hein. En Europe, on a plein de belles vagues, en Galice, en Irlande, en France aussi. Donc ouais, continuer de surfer au Portugal, il y a encore plein de spots aussi, partout quoi. Pour Tokyo 2020, je serai consultante, donc ça sera un poste différent. J'ai jamais fait ça, donc pour moi c'est un défi, je vais apprendre, c'est chouette, voilà, c'est le plus gros événement sportif, donc la pression elle est là aussi un peu. Mais c'est chouette de pouvoir parler de son sport devant tant de personnes et de pouvoir faire connaître ce que j'aime du surf. Et puis j'espère surtout qu'il y aura des belles vagues, que les Français vont performer, que l'équipe de France sera au top et qu'il y aura vraiment du bon niveau de surf, du show et surtout des belles vagues parce que tous les qualifiés ils ont un sacré niveau de surf, donc il manque juste voilà. Si on a des belles vagues, et ben, c'est parti. Et pour Paris 2024, à Tahiti, ça sera vraiment chouette aussi. Donc, moi, je pouvais faire la sélection, mais c'était autre chose. C'était un autre projet. Et j'aime tellement là, les grosses vagues. J'avais tellement envie de performer cet hiver que je suis vraiment ravie d'avoir fait mes grosses vagues. Et là, de pouvoir cet été, il y a moins de conditions pour moi. Et ce rôle se pose à jouer sur les JO. Non, c'est cool. Oui, je pense que les JO, ça va donner un bon nouvel élan au surf et à ces générations. Ça va être des générations de Tokyo 2020, génération de Paris peut-être. Et on a eu une bonne génération là, quand moi j'ai commencé à surfer. Là, il y avait des gars qui étaient plus forts, plus vieux et des femmes aussi qui surfaient vraiment bien déjà, qui avaient montré le chemin. Donc il y a eu une génération là, qui avait déjà ce chemin montré. Donc j'ai fait partie d'une génération qui avait déjà des aînés qui avaient montré le chemin. Et c'était chouette, donc on était vraiment dans une émulation, on a progressé. Et après il y a eu un peu moins de monde, mais là je pense qu'il y a une bonne génération qui arrive là, de jeunes bien motivés. Donc peut-être ce sera la génération Paris 2024, on va voir. Non, mais ça va motiver forcément. Pour le sport, c'est bien, c'est chouette. Ouais. Fini.
This is the way my body sways when I'm thinking about you. Oh, I've been thinking about you night and day, night and day. Oh, I've been thinking about you night and day, night and day. Oh, I've been thinking about you night and day, night and day. Oh, I don't know.
Well, the whole situation, you can die. First, I'm always driving, say, maybe I'm not going, maybe I just go and check. I always have afraid, for sure. Every time I go to Nazaré, I'm afraid. Why? Because I like to feel the fear. I like to understand more about myself, and in the big waves, it's like you push your limits. You get out of your comfort zone. Fear is the same emotion of adrenaline. And what's adrenaline give you? Give you like energy, put you aware, put you like focus, and fear is exactly the same. And if you can use this tool for the good and don't mix with panic, because panic is another feeling, it's the brother of fear, but it's the one he's going to kill you. And the fear is going to put you alive, because put you aware. And in a dangerous situation, you need to find a plan. And with the fear, you can find this, but with panic, you block the mind. The exercise I do a lot is breathing techniques and meditation. It helped me a lot for the big waves. Take like every day 10 minutes, 20 minutes of my life to just focus in myself and to just understand me and meditating and breathing.
I've seen so many changes in people when they start to breathe in a conscious way. For Joanna, it can be a difference between life or death. She can prevent moments of panic, of anxiety, And even if she falls, she has the ability to bring that stillness to her. So that is the big advantage of knowing how to breathe. Devagarinho. She's a beast.
I think the mental game and the mental part is much more important in the spiritual part than the physical parts, because of the reality we come this world with a lot of fears. We come with a lot of blocks inside of us. Now I say just fuck this. I try to just breathe and try to connect with myself and try to feed good energy and good positive and do the things with my heart. Because if I'm not going to do my things with my heart, I think it can happen something. I think now, like, what the world asks us is to live in the present, and is what the fear gives us. Is this tool is like to be aware of everything. It's a time to focus more for ourselves. Everyone, the world is in the same boat, so we cannot predict the future, so we need to be aware, to be present. It doesn't matter if you pray, if you breathe, if you meditate, it's just take time for yourself. Try to understand yourself. I think in a big ways I learn a lot dealing with my life. Before I was a person very stressed, very anxious, don't understand too much about the fear, and now I start to understand like fear can be a good tool for your life. There are like always two voices inside of me. Say one, say you don't go, another say go, you can do it. Wow, it passed so fast. So you know, when you really like one thing, you forget the time, you forget to eat, you forget everything. You are in the present. I don't use watch. I like to give message to people. I'm not a guru. I deal with fear, but now the fear, it's my friend, and I want to understand more and more and more about the emotions, the fears we have inside of us. I'm afraid to die. Afraid to be in this life. How do you say? Death, not life. Who's the voice you feel? Because we have so many voices inside of us sometimes, and we don't know which voice we're going to feed today. So try to listen to your beautiful voice you have inside of you and try to follow this beautiful voice.
It kind of goes without saying that 2020 was a tidal wave. It took us all a lot. But when a tsunami happens, how can you blame the ocean? How can you blame the planet? Why waste time wondering how it happened, when the question we should really be asking is, what is it teaching us? You see, there is a lot we can all learn with waves. And maybe the one big lesson we can take from such a year is that even if life brings you all different kinds of waves to surf, sometimes, just sometimes, you get to create your own waves. Miguel Blanco is a professional surfer, but during his travels, he found out that his biggest commitment had to be towards the environment.
I went to Maldives with my dad and my brother in August, and it was where it really hit me. We were surfing chickens and cokes. Our boats were parked in the lagoon. People were just passing by. And every time we were passing by, I was watching this tiny island just full of trash, full of plastic. And people were even stopping to go and take a photo, but they were not doing anything about it. People come here, take photos, and don't even pick up one bottle or one little piece of plastic, bro. That's what trips me out. You see that the reality is a bit different from what people have been selling you. It's a beautiful place, and I would love to go back and surf it with my kids one day, just like I did with my dad. And for that to be possible, there has to be a change.
Waves are motion, and they can also be emotion. Ever wondered, how are they born anyway? It all starts with a small upset, like a splash in the water, that can grow afterwards to unimaginable proportions. So any small gesture can be the first step that ends up changing a whole life, a whole community, a whole world. Miguel has spent his life surfing all kinds of waves, but he realized the biggest wave he will ever surf is the one he is actually helping to create.
So later that year, I decided to travel to Africa, to São Tomé, to surf and show a reality of a country. We were able to do a beach cleanup, and we counted with more than 50 kids from local schools, local community. Soma surf, the first group of girls. Boa! We had a chance to join the NGO Tato project, to go with them for 2 days on studying preservation of the turtles. That trip was really rewarding for me. Not only the surfing, but all the moments that I shared with the community, be able to go there and give back. It was just pure joy. and made me go back home with my heart fulfilled. Everything started to connect, and I soon joined WWF. Now an ambassador on the campaign Eat for Change that defends a sustainable diet that starts the consciousness on what are you eating, where it comes from, and how it's produced. Choosing to follow a sustainable diet can help to improve our health, while also making sure the planet has enough resources to feed future generations.
And here is the one thing to learn as well. The wave he is waiting for only comes once. Don't let it go. Don't miss the chance to ride something beautiful.
Along this journey, I've learned that various issues contribute to this climate crisis, and ocean plastic is only one of them. There is still hope though. We just have to think, feel, and act as one.
So pick it up. Don't it up.
me, the experience of traveling the world and seeing some of these beautiful places, but then also seeing the effects of plastic pollution, was really what made me more passionate about living sustainably and doing my part to take care of the ocean and my playground. And I just think as surfers get to use the ocean for our enjoyment, it's our responsibility to take care of it and do what we can. Plastic pollution and the world climate change can feel very daunting and overwhelming at times, but I really feel like if we all do our part, use our reusable water bottles or your grocery bags, those are great places to start. I think for me, I'm really grateful that I'm able to align with brands like Venus and Gillette because they are taking the initiative to package more sustainably and do their part on a global scale, on a bigger scale, to make a difference. My hope for the future as a lover of the ocean is to just see our beautiful playground continue to be pristine and clean, and we are able to enjoy it for generations to come.
My name is Wes Carter, and I'm the president and third generation leader of Atlantic Packaging, a company founded by my grandfather in 1946. I'm also a husband and the father of 8-year-old twins and a lifelong surfer, traveler, and outdoorsman, and I've seen firsthand the devastation caused by plastic pollution in our oceans, lakes, and rivers. Today, Atlantic is the largest privately held packaging company in North America, and we support companies in almost every manufacturing vertical, which gives us the unique ability to use our influence to help the supply chain transition away from problematic packaging that threatens our global waters. A New Earth Project is a coalition of outdoor enthusiasts, industry-leading brands, and innovative packaging suppliers all working together to solve these problems. Because it's about all of us, it has to be. Please join us on our journey to a new Earth.
Where we determined most of the leakage was happening was direct-to-consumer packaging. It's single-use plastic packaging that it ends up at the house, at the homes of hundreds of millions of people. You know, that's the place that it's hard to create circularity. It's also the place where packaging and other products can leak out into the environment because it's just not very controlled once it ends up at your house. You know, I mean, stuff blows out of trash cans and blows out of trucks and boats and cars, and it gets sorted incorrectly. And so that was an area where we felt like we could create a packaging platform for consumer-destined packaging that we knew had a few really critical criteria that we believe were important from a sustainability perspective. And first and foremost, we wanted things that, if they did end up in the environment, would break down in a reasonable amount of time.
Why did you want to go?
Because I love adventure. I don't know. It's one of those things like I love being in the water. And I've done a fair amount of diving in my life, and I don't get to do as much as I used to. And so the opportunity to dive with sharks sounded like a good time. 'They are very serious about conservation, and two incredibly accomplished and intelligent people in the world of conservation. I have rarely met two folks that know as much as they know about the environment that they spend all their time and support. And it was a really, I mean, the shark diving piece was awesome and exciting, and but talking to the two of them and hearing their story, and they taught me a lot about sharks too. I mean, I think, sharks are a pretty good barometer for the health of the oceans.
%95% of the world's shark populations have been wiped out within the last 60 years, basically. And so we're only working with 5% of the world's shark population. It's mostly due to this soup. It's shark fin soup. It's a big demand for it in the Asian market, and it's wiping the sharks out. I mean, they say that literally 100 million sharks are being killed every year. The only reason that number is going down is because that 5% tile is going down. The demand for it is not, it's not equal to the supply. And unfortunately, sharks are really, really slow to reproduce. So yeah, there's not a lot of hope for them on the future unless something can be done to help really protect them.
One of the things that we're working on a lot in our business is evaluating human systems, whether it be in packaging, consumer products, and trying to create circularity. Like, circularity exists in nature. It's all around us. It's the perfect model. We're never going to be as sophisticated as nature, but it's a great place to model systems in our consumer world. I'd love to hear your impression on the ecosystem of the oceans and how the sharks are part of the waste disposal for the circularity that is the natural environment in the ocean.
I like your term circularity as a reference to ecology. So how one animal might impact or influence another animal, because in the ocean, everything is connected. That was sort of the idea with the company One Ocean. So a lot of people think like, oh, this country owns this part of it and this country owns this part of it. The marine animals, they don't have any difference. Everything's connected. And from near shore to offshore to everything in between, depth profile, specific, everything's connected. So that's a great concept to implement into your company, your products and things like that, to realize that just like sharks, like the analogy, sharks are sort of like the doctors of the ocean. They pick off the weak, wounded, injured, sick, dead, and dying. And so today we definitely don't want to act like that. And they're not the monsters that they're portrayed as in media, but they're very, very important to the health of marine ecosystems.
And just like the professional surfing community is traveling around the world, you know, surfing and acknowledging pollution in the water, Juan and Ocean have been traveling the world for 20 years, following sharks and diving with sharks in, you know, every continent in the world.
But also even their presence influences the behavior of other animals. So it's not even necessarily that they need to eat to do their job. Just having sharks around actually will make coral reefs more productive and healthier. Same thing with seagrass beds, because they move their prey items.
I love what you said about sharks being the doctors of the oceans. And would it be a fair statement to say that an ocean without sharks is like a human society without doctors?
If you have a sick fish, you can think of like an aquarium. You don't have a predator in there, right? And so what happens when one fish gets COVID? They all get COVID, right? Without that control, the regulation, it spreads. And that's what sharks do. They help to keep diseases from spreading. They help to recycle nutrients from animals that are passing off. They also pick off the weaker ones so that the strongest and the fittest survive. And they have actually strengthened the resilience and even the size and the health of fish stocks.
They have an incredibly insightful perspective on the health of that species and how the health of that species translates to the health of the overall marine ecosystem. Yeah, I think that is the big theme for a New Earth project, and why it's so important to engage with what I call these ambassadors of the ocean, whether it be the professional surfers like Kelly Slater and Kai Lenny and Koa Smith, or it is, you know, folks like Juan and Ocean who are in the shark conservation world and the shark tour world, because their perspective on the health of the oceans, to me, is the most sophisticated and well-developed perspective that there is, because these people have dedicated their lives to the oceans. It is their lives, and I think it's important that we listen to those voices. To me, they are the authorities. You know, they're the authorities, and they're the voices that we are working to really support. You know, again, it may seem like an unlikely marriage of, you know, surfers and shark divers and the packaging supply chain, but quite honestly, when you really look at it, I think it's a pretty perfect marriage.
In the United States and in most developed countries where there is a recycling infrastructure, we recycle paper a lot better than we recycle plastic. And so fiber-based, you know, which in this country is primarily wood fiber, you know, but that's changing. There are other products coming to market like hemp. it's all curbside recyclable. And we felt like that was really important. You know, the more products that we can send to your house that are curbside recyclable, the more we keep out of the landfill, and we keep in circulation.
So every frame was bubble wrap, then plastic bladders, and then a gigantic box. And I'm just like, this was surrounded by the air bladder strips and filled in a carton that had to have been 24 by 12 by 10, and one frame per box.
What are we looking at? Sustainable?
Not really.
It just seems so inefficient.
Historically in packaging, the only thing anybody focused on was cost and convenience. No, I mean, first of all, it's wildly overpackaged. I mean, that's the first thing you see.
Yeah. But you could have put 10 frames in one box.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all they cared about was cost and convenience. You know what? Plastic's cheap. You know, those air pillows are cheap.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people shove them in there, you know, but like once we start prioritizing that, you know, cost and convenience are still relevant and not irrelevant, but we also have to, you know, put value on sustainability and circularity. And certainly from my perspective, if it's ending up in consumers' hands or ending up, you know, at a retail store, you're just far better off to have fiber-based packaging. And really, you know, here's I mean, in their defense, this is, you got this from Target, right?
Yeah, there's probably stock like this, right?
Well,
So
what happens is it's like you can imagine like a big Target distribution center or an Amazon distribution center.
Yeah.
These came down a conveyor belt that had a pair of socks and had a computer, and then, you know, and so it's all this random stuff coming down the conveyor belt, and they're trying to find like a quick way to package it.
Right.
And this is bubble on demand. Like this stuff fills up right there. So they're filling it up, wrapping it, taping it, and off it goes. It's about speed and efficiency because we recycle paper really well in this country.
Yeah.
There's all the corrugated boxes.
Yeah.
I mean, everything just goes in the same bag.
Yeah.
So that's why I've been really focused on, especially with e-commerce and retail packaging, as many fiber-based solutions as possible.
Yeah.
You know, so they're not concerned at all about sustainability. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
Is, you know, it's like just
They're trying to
get it out the door, get it out the door.
right?
And, you know, from that perspective, if speed and efficiency is all you're looking for, and it is well protected, you can drop that off the roof and it look great. But there's, I mean, you know, just being a little bit creative, there's ways to optimize that. And it would reduce costs too. This is expensive. That's an expensive pack right there.
Absolutely.
That bubble on demand is expensive stuff, and they've got like, you know, 10 layers on it.
Yeah, plus all the air bladders, plus the carton, plus the tape. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was very fortuitous. So we walk in the door, and within about 5 minutes, we go into the conference room, and there's, you know, 10 or 12 guys, and they're all sitting around the table going, what are we going to do about packaging? And I was like, hey, I might be able to help with that.
Looking like packing foam.
See, there's no regulating body on any of this. There's no EPA overlooking any of this, so there's so much you can't believe it.
You can sort of just say whatever you want.
But it was great. I mean, you have a lot of guys there. You've got entrepreneurs in that room. You've got really accomplished surfers. You've got guys that have worked together for a really long time. You've got guys that are incredibly passionate about the brand that they're creating. I mean, that's a really good example. From the ground up, you got a lot of guys who've been in this industry a really long time.
That's my favorite product from that line.
Yes, I love this product. This one that just came out last year, and these guys who make the product are absolutely killing it. I mean,
they are working with a really premier athlete in the surfing space to create a new brand that says premium, that says sustainability, and it's very recognizable. And so they're in this room all going, what do we need to do about packaging?
one stat I'll leave y'all with, shut up. Today, the demographic of 18 to 34-year-olds have more buying power than the baby boomers. And it's probably a big part of your demographic for your products too, 18 to 34-year-olds. And in recent surveys, 75 to 80% of that demographic said they value sustainability in their products and packaging as fundamental to their buying choices. That is a big, and it's everybody basically. We're talking about that many people. With the group with the most buying power on the planet.
So the packaging world is so large and diverse, and there are so many competing agendas and ideologies that unless you're in this space doing a lot of deep analysis, it can be really difficult to know what the right decision is. And so those guys were moving in, they had made some good decisions. I mean, they had made some really good decisions. They certainly recognized that they wanted to have sustainable packaging. I think where they were struggling is, how do we define that? how do we define sustainable packaging? And they were looking at some products that they felt like needed to be compostable, as an example. Well, compostable sounds pretty good, but there's a lot of questions you have to ask when it relates to compostable packaging.
I mean, and the other thing too is if this ends up in the ocean, 10, 12 weeks gone.
Yeah.
10 to 12 weeks gone. On that compostable bag, it's probably industrial compostable because they never put that fine print on there. That ends up in the ocean, it's there 400 years.
Yeah.
What are the feedstocks? Is it compostable packaging that's made from genetically modified corn with pesticides all over it? That's probably not a great option. The other piece is it industrial compostable? Because if it's industrial compostable, there's not that many places in the United States and certainly abroad that have industrial composting. So if you don't put it in an industrial compost, it doesn't break down. And the other thing is, if it's compostable packaging that doesn't get composted, it's not very recyclable.
Well, thanks for letting us interrupt whatever you guys were doing.
We're interrupting you, man. I think you just solved all our problems. Eating over.
Being in the middle of the supply chain, being a consulting company that actually does sell packaging, it allows us to go out into the marketplace and be real selective. Our only agenda is to present sustainable solutions to our customers. We're not greenwashing because I have no reason to greenwash. My whole value proposition is not greenwashing. My value proposition is, here are the criteria that we believe are the most sustainable, and we stand behind it. But we'll welcome the challenges, and we get them from time to time, and I welcome those debates. But with the infrastructure that we see, the recycling infrastructure that we see, we really believe that the criteria that I just laid out are really important for consumer-destined packaging.
On the next episode of Journey to a New Earth.
We saw a pretty impressive change in packaging. For years and years, everybody's kind of been saying, on the surfboard side of things, shipping, there's just so much plastic and everyone's just so paranoid about how things show up. And these guys came in and kind of revolutionized how we're packaging, and the recyclability of it's pretty impressive. Not to mention the time constraints, and talking to them, it looks like the pricing's kind of right in line with what we've been doing. So we're pretty stoked to kind of move forward and kind of turn the page into the next step of shipping and being sustainable.
Come with me, I'll show you. Like, I have one longboard, right? You can see how well used that is. This board that I ride regularly at sunset was from mid-80s. George Downing put this fin in. It was a thruster, went terrible. Uncle George said, no, let me put this fin in. Let me try this. Put this fin in. Well, it goes unbelievable. Maybe the best board, so I'm still riding to this day. It's like, this board, I don't know how old. This is my small wake board. I don't know how old. This is maybe 4 or 5 now. I don't know. I've had this for a long time. you just got to keep them, mate. You got to keep them, you got to keep riding them. And so my boards are so old. Let me show you. Let me get a couple of these things for you. These is an example of making stuff last. So let's have a look here. This one. I still use this all the time. Look at my wetties, mate. Can you see that? Can you see? This thing is falling apart, but it still goes. Look at this. Look at these things. This is my springies. Look at them. Look how old they are. They're 5 years old. I can get new wetties. I can get new stuff all the time if I want it. I don't, deliberately. Mate, I just ride the same things I've had for the last, they're all 4 or 5 years old. I don't get new stuff. I could, but I'm conscious in my decisions around what I do, you know, I try to be. It's just about building conscious awareness around the fact, if you believe that you are better than everything around you, because you are the gifted, the chosen, right, and you're better than it all, you might not be set up with the correct value system that respects the fact that you are it. We are our environment. We're all the same thing, and it's, you know, whether it's a tree, an animal, or me, we're all the same thing. And so I think there needs to be this conscious awareness around what we are and our engagement and our connection to what this is. And globalization has obviously failed. And that direction of consolidating things in less and less places, you know, all the media being owned by a few companies, all of the opportunities for, you know, distribution of things being owned by a few companies, that has proven itself to fail. And we need to go back the other way as far as we possibly can. And that's one of the great things they say about this whole COVID situation, is that more people have grown their own food at this point in time since 1940 or something. When people all used to, the majority of food was grown in the backyard, right? Not shipped in from 500 miles away in plastic containers. It's failed, mate. Give it up, surrender it, because it's failed. And people are starting to grow their own food. And they say that there's been a movement towards that is monumental in itself. And so just those decisions, I suppose, we need to kind of try to make and use less, consider that we are it, and, you know.
My name is Wes Carter, and I'm the president and third-generation leader of Atlantic Packaging, a company founded by my grandfather in 1946. I'm also a husband and the father of 8-year-old twins and a lifelong surfer, traveler, and outdoorsman, and I have seen firsthand the devastation caused by plastic pollution in our oceans, lakes, and rivers. Today, Atlantic is the largest privately held packaging company in North America, and we support companies in almost every manufacturing vertical, which gives us the unique ability to use our influence to help the supply chain transition away from problematic packaging that threatens our global waters. A New Earth Project is a coalition of outdoor enthusiasts, industry-leading brands, and innovative packaging suppliers, all working together to solve these problems. Because it's about all of us, it has to be. Please join us on our journey to a new Earth.
Again, one of the other things about being such a dynamic packaging company, it gives us the ability to look at the entire supply chain in a very intelligent, detailed way and make incredibly educated decisions on the products and the programs that we bring to market. And again, we welcome challenges. It just makes us better. Because my goal, yeah, I want to grow business and grow customers, and we want a healthy, profitable company, but I also want to be supporting products and programs that don't pollute this planet, you know? And to me, that's a privilege. It's a gift. It's an absolute gift to be in a position to be able to do that. And it's been the great joy of my life outside of my family and my children, like to be in a position to be a part of what I believe can be a really, really amazing thing that our generation can do for all future generations.
We came up with two or three, I think it was 3 different package configurations that we thought had promise. And then we landed and we showed John 2 of them that, you know, we determined, hey, these are pretty good options here. They're fiber-based.
So background on Sergio. Sergio would probably have more boards than anyone else in the United States or certainly the world.
And we were sort of leaning towards one, the suspension pack, and once we showed it to him, he said, man, that's the one, I love it. I love the way it looks.
I've been working in the industry for like about 25 years, and I've been packing boards. This one's between 20 to 25 minutes.
And so then the next real proving ground is how well will it ship? And so we felt confident that it was going to ship really well, but again, we never shipped a surfboard with this type of suspension pack. So we packed up a board here. Now we did a lot of testing here too. So we have vibration, unit load testers, and we have drop testers and things like that. So, I mean, I think we dropped that surfboard in the suspension pack like 50 times with our drop tester, and it did really well. So. We felt good, but testing in real world, we try to be as accurate as possible, but the real world always has, new dynamics or, unique dynamics. So
we saw a pretty impressive change in packaging. For years and years, everybody's kind of been saying, on the surfboard side of things, shipping, there's just so much plastic and everyone's just so paranoid about how things show up. And these guys came in and kind of revolutionized how we're packaging, and the recyclability of it's pretty impressive. Not to mention the time constraints, and talking to them, it looks like the pricing's kind of right in line with what we've been doing. So we're pretty stoked to kind of move forward and kind of turn the page into the next step of shipping and being sustainable.
But yeah, so we shipped it to John in California, to his shop there, and we also shipped a bunch of the packaging material. So we shipped cases of the suspension wrap, or the sus wrap, as well as we shipped him the telescoping box that we had designed to go with the suspension pack. And because part of what we wanted to do was not only ship it to him to prove out that it would ship well and show up intact and looking good, but then once that happened, we also wanted to work with his guys that were packing boards to teach them how to pack it, to be sure that the guys doing the work signed off on it. So, I mean, that's one thing you've always got to evaluate with packaging. Like, it may look great, but if the guys who are actually doing the work to pack whatever it may be say this isn't efficient, or I don't like the way this functions, that can be a roadblock. So
about 7 minutes around that. People are gonna be really happy with the new products and material. Stoked with the no plastic, We're changing the game. Definitely, you guys are changing it too. This is so sick. Seriously, I'm so happy we can do this.
Well, the initial response from everybody was like, this is fantastic. We love the way this looks. It screams sustainability. I mean, I think the suspension pack is cool looking anyway. I mean, like having the surfboard suspended, in the box, with basically air on either side of it, which is nice. I mean, it's being protected by a cushion of air as opposed to a bunch of void fill, which is nice from a sustainability perspective. And it just looks good. I mean, it looks super cool. It presents the surfboard really well. So the initial reaction was, hey, we love this. And then also they really quickly picked up on, hey, there's no plastic in this package. It was like, this looks awesome and there's no plastic. Oh, this is curbside recyclable. And then a couple of the guys keyed off on, you know what? I think that some of this packaging could be reusable. I think I could save this suspension wrap and wrap it around the board before I put it in my board bag if I'm going overseas on a surfing trip, which is something we had considered too. So, and I think that's probably true. I think the sus wrap can probably be used, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times for travel, which is nice.
This is kind of crazy because this is literally less than probably 7-8 months of you thinking about how do we talk about sustainability, highlight companies, surfers who are now building their own brands and concerned for these issues, and then literally less than 7 or 8 months, you're delivering something to one of the largest surfboard manufacturers in the world. By the time I'm assuming he's up there, right?
He's certainly one of the more recognizable brands. You know, I mean, he has a reputation for making very high-end premium surfboards, and the world champion is good enough for him, so it should be good enough for any other surfer out there.
It's here now you are, you're delivering this. Again, I don't want to miss this moment, which is, and here you are, everybody is, the whole team, everyone that's been along this journey, you're actually looking at a solution.
Yep.
You shipped out a solution, or at least step one, phase one of solving this problem. I mean, that's pretty monumental.
It actually crushes pretty good. Yeah, it totally does. Can't hear you, we're packing. It's really loud, and I love it.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the business that we're in, you know. It's a pretty radical transformation for surfboard packaging.
Yeah, I mean,
That's
like,
awesome.
It crushes pretty well. I mean, it does not take a lot of. If we had a jig where the board would stand up, one guy can do
No,
this.
to be honest, that was like way easier than the other day when I did it. There you go. There we go. We have a floating piece of magic.
You know, and it was a fun project for us to work on, not just because I love surfing and it's just fun to, you know, play with surfboards, but it was a unique product too. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, a surfboard's a funky shaped product compared to a lot of things that you ship. So
the beauty of a suspension pack is a lot of what protects the board is air, which obviously doesn't have to be recycled, doesn't have to be going to a landfill.
Doesn't weigh anything.
It doesn't weigh anything.
Christmas style.
There we go.
And now we have to put it in a box.
But, you know, I had a lot of confidence that we would be, you know, this is what we do. I mean, we bring in products that are having issues with shipping damage or over packaging or sustainability issues, and we re-engineer the packaging.
Boom. This is the drop test. That thing's fine. If it doesn't have a bunch of plastic, or it has zero plastic in this case, then people are going to be way happier in general, you know?
I mean, obviously packaging has to work. If packaging doesn't work, we're throwing away products, which is not good for the people making those products. It's certainly not good for the environment. So I think we've hit a really nice sweet spot here where we have highly functional packaging that's curbside recyclable. It's all fiber-based, made from renewable resources. We're going to tweak a few things like you always do to optimize it to make it really efficient for the packers. But my sense is long-term, somebody gets really good at this, I bet they can pack these boards in 5 minutes.
Handles are insane. That's one big thing that you're always like, you get something this big and how are you picking it up? And so the easier you make it for the guy handling the shipping, the guy that's shipping it that brings it to you, instead of him like, ah, God, and just throwing it out the door or whatever, if he's like, hey, great, let me just put this down for you. Awesome, there's your board. It's like that makes everybody happy.
Yeah, this board's really safe. I would have confidence shipping it anywhere in the world. The real measure will be when we ship it. I've got a lot of confidence, and if I didn't, I would say so. So this one's shipping to John John, so it's got to be right. It's got to be right.
And so I felt confident that we would deliver a solution, but I was, surprised is the wrong word, but I was really, really encouraged at how well the team here hit the mark, and I can't take credit for that. I mean, it was the ingenuity of all the folks that work here at the Solution Center and the support of some of our suppliers as well. But you know, that collaboration came together with what I thought was a home run.
Testing. Look at this. It's the safest boards ever arrived. You ready to test? Look at that. It's so good. Incredible. It just makes sense. It's good when things make sense. 1, it's easier to unpack. 2, it's probably easier to pack. 3, it's better for the environment, but that's a given. Sometimes I feel like you have to talk people into things that are better for the environment. But something like this, it just makes sense altogether. The boards are safer, rather than like plastic wrap and foam and messing up the rockers and things like that.
On the next episode of Journey to a New Earth.
Height is on finals day, baby.
It's gonna be really hard to do an interview with these waves. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, who's that?
If you want to go way back, my mom grew up vegetarian. We were recycling probably in the 80s. You know, and this is like, you're talking back in the day where we had these buckets in our house. It was like cans went in here, newspapers went in there, and then you'd have to drive to the recycling center. So like before I even knew what it was, I was already kind of grown, like bred to like really have that in my DNA. We were separating our trash like way back in the day before it was even a thing. And it was funny, you go to these recycling centers and it was like you put all your cans over there and your cardboard and your newspaper and whatever, you separated everything. So it was kind of in my blood from day one. But for me personally, like I think when I stopped doing the tour and I came home, I realized like, wow, I have a pretty rad community and it seems like I have a voice here and I want to use it in a positive way. So what can I do? So I came up with the Rob Machado Foundation, and it was like, let's target the kids. Let's give them environmental education, which is pretty well-rounded, right? You're kind of like leaving it pretty wide open. And it started with recycling programs in the school and went to gardening programs, and then eventually led to water programs. Every kid had a single-use plastic water bottle at school in their backpack. It was like the no-brainer. It was that time in our lives when it was like every parent just was like, yeah, you just toss those things around left and right. And so it was like, let's change this. So we went into schools, put in refill stations, and gave every kid a reusable water bottle. And now that's like really common, is like to see a kid with it all stickered up, dented and scratched. It's the thing, right? Every kid has it attached to their backpack. I think the world was naturally gonna go that way, but I felt like we were on the forefront of it and like educating the kids. And then what happens with the kids? They go home and they're like, Mom, Dad, what's up? Don't buy those stupid water bottles anymore. I got this, you know? And that's cool. we're lucky these days. We got the big blue trash can that lets like all recyclables go in there. But I still think there's like the stage before it goes into that trash can, you know, like breaking down your cardboard boxes, really cleaning out like plastic containers and like getting them to a right place where they can be recycled, so you're not like polluting the recycling process. We got this rad little machine called a Lomi, and it's an in-home composting machine, and you literally take your scraps, you throw in this bucket, and you just turn the thing on, and like 20 hours later it's soil. And I take it out, fertilize my plants. So it's rad. Like everything at home, we're trying to reduce the amount of plastic that's going into our house, and really just everything that's coming in, it's getting put in the right places before it goes out.
My name is Wes Carter, and I'm the president and third generation leader of Atlantic Packaging, a company founded by my grandfather in 1946. I'm also a husband and the father of 8-year-old twins and a lifelong surfer, traveler, and outdoorsman. And I've seen firsthand the devastation caused by plastic pollution in our oceans, lakes, and rivers. Today, Atlantic is the largest privately held packaging company in North America, and we support companies in almost every manufacturing vertical, which gives us the unique ability to use our influence to help the supply chain transition away from problematic packaging that threatens our global waters. A New Earth Project is a coalition of outdoor enthusiasts, industry-leading brands, and innovative packaging suppliers, all working together to solve these problems. Because it's about all of us, it has to be. Please join us on our journey to a new Earth.
I hope what this surfboard pack and this represents to everybody is that we can do this.
Look at this. It's the safest board's ever arrived.
If we collaborate, if we have the intention to package things better, to make more sustainable products.
Can you do a test? Look at that.
To make more environmentally friendly products and packaging.
It's so good.
We can achieve these goals. It just takes intention.
Incredible.
If we can do it for surfboards, we can do it for anything.
We're at Bonsai Pipeline at the quarterfinals on one epic day. The weather's beautiful, the surf is amazing, and you can't beat the view. So yeah, everything's well with the world. When this house came on the market, we came over and had a look, and we were like, this property could be really significant for this initiative, for events just like this. When we were evaluating it, it was like, that never goes out of style. The inception of a New Earth Project was really about engaging the professional surfing community, which when I visited Hawaii and met Peter King, having the realization that the professional surfers, the Kelly Slaters and the Kai Lennies and the Koa Smiths and the Carlos Munoz, those guys have witnessed this plastic pollution problem even on a broader scale than I have.
Surfing with a purpose, surf trips with a purpose, and we want to focus on brands and surfers that are interested in sustainability. That word gets thrown around a lot. It probably means a lot of things to a lot of people, and it probably means nothing to a lot of people. But trying to find ways to do and use best practices when making their products. Kelly Slater at Outer Known, John Florence with Florence Marine X. They want to use the best supply chains possible that care about the people making the product.
I mean, if you're a pro surfer, you're traveling all over the world for years in some cases. A guy like Kelly Slater's been doing it for decades. So those guys are the authority. They are global authorities on how bad this problem is and how bad it's been progressing. And they are passionate about advocating for it.
but we're going to try and present the best strategies to move forward in the most eco-friendly, eco-conscious kind of ways. So we want to point those out and celebrate those kind of people.
A New Earth project was a collaboration that said, I hear you, I'm a surfer too. I hear you and I've seen it. And I am a part of an organization that is in a position to facilitate a change. And we can use the voices of the professional surfing community and take those voices and present them to the supply chain through a New Earth project and Atlantic Packaging and inspire change.
No doubt sustainability is the trendiest thing, and I think people do it just to kind of fit into social circles. But, you know, when you grow up here in Hawaii, specifically on these, you know, remote coastlines like the North Shore of Oahu, like the North Shore of Maui, where, you know, it's very country, you know, you see what goes into the ocean, you see what's surrounding, you know, your environment, and any piece of trash that you even see on the ground just kind of like hurts because the place is so beautiful that, you know, it just doesn't seem right. And, you know, I think it really encourages everybody in those communities to want to be, yeah, more sustainable, but not because, you know, someone's telling you need to be. It just seems almost easier as well.
Well, as surfers have grown in popularity and notoriety, I think it's given them a voice, and their voice is, hey guys, let's take care of the planet, the ocean, the earth, you know, so we're the ones that are in the water more than anybody else and seeing the crap on the beach and having that awareness and getting the message through that, hey, we got to take care of the planet. So as you get a voice, you know, it's enabled surfing to use that voice and try to make the planet better for future generations.
Like, no one likes driving to the dump, and, you know, since I've grown up on Maui, you've seen that garbage dump mountain turn into a mini volcano, and I'm like, God, you never used to be able to see the dump from here. And, you know, what if those pieces of, you know, trash, the packaging that we get, just turned into soil? So I think there's just a long path to get people on the right thing, but if you can create sort of a product, sort of an idea that is better than the conventional thing, there's no reason why something sustainable wouldn't be easier and more convenient, better all the way around. And in that case, that's when you're gonna pique everyone's interest.
To be right here, front row at Pipeline, at the Billabong Pro is just surreal. And we've got a great crowd of people here, a bunch of normal Joes like me, and then, you know, some really, really prolific people in surfing like Buzzy Kerbach shows up, and Seth Moniz's father is here, and we just watched Seth win his heat. That was really exciting.
That was unreal. That's pretty much nailing the coffin unless John does like crazy miracle, which he could, but I think Seth's got it. I think Seth is into the semis. Where is that?
Hey, Papa! Who said Guy John out there need your speed?
Some other guy. Unreal surfing, huh?
Thank you. Oh.
Moniz ain't no underdog.
No.
How's your heart, okay?
The Hawaiian community, you're always inviting your neighborhood kids, other families. There's
something early in the early years that grandparents used to hanai grandchildren, and it's still happening. Well, now, even more so in a community, the kids would come over to our house and they become family. It's family. And you end up adopting, the word is hanai, all these kids. And it was done back in a time where no legal documents needed, where the child would be brought up with the auntie, the uncle. And I think because of that part of the culture and living on an island, all these kids who come around us till this day, doesn't matter what age, they also feel that family, that we love them, we bring them in. But culturally speaking, that's something that's kind of organic on the islands, where you come into someone's house, come on in, you know, eat with us, hang out with us.
Carlos Munoz is here. It's been wild. Koa Smith's here. Kai Lenny was over here yesterday. So to have a location like this that everybody can feel like a New Earth project really is a family, which is how we've always tried to do things at Atlantic, and this is just an extension of that. We want this movement to feel like family. We want this movement to be collaborative, and having great locations to share the love is what it's all about.
Brands recognize that sustainability, environmentalism, conservation is being viewed by regular everyday people as cool and interesting and necessary. You know, people are engaged with it, and so
I'm telling you, through hard work and focus and dedication, God provides. You know, what's also big and helpful is having your community. There is support. There is networking of support. On the island of Molokai is where my lineage is from, my grandparents. Till this day, there's a lot of locals there that do the bartering exchanges. You got hunters, you got the fishermen, and you have the farmers. And they feed off of each other. It's still happening there on that island.
The one thing we are going to do is we are going to be the most sustainable industry in the history of industries. The surfing world, the surfing industry is going to be the beacon for everyone else to look towards. It will be the light. And we want this house to be a place where those collaborations can happen. And it's remarkable to me. The reality is, the very first time I came to Hawaii for this initiative was exactly 1 year ago. And 12 short months later, this is what we have. You know, we're here at the Billabong Pro with influential people from throughout this industry, young people, people that have been around a while, the veterans, and they're all here stoked to be watching this contest, but also talking about what can we do together to really transform the way that we view products and packaging, specifically in surf, with the greater mission of inspiring the greater supply chain. We want surfing to be the thing that everyone looks towards and go, look what they did in the surf industry, look what they did. If the surf industry can do it, the greater outdoor industry can do it. And if the greater outdoor industry can do it and tell beautiful stories about that transition away from problematic packaging and products to sustainable packaging and products, if the outdoor industry can do it, the rest of the world can do it too. And so that is why we're here, and we're super stoked, and again, you can't beat it. Best view in sports. One thing I would like to say, we had a really One of the silver linings of the last 2 years, where everyone was at home for 2 years and we were in an evolution of technology and e-commerce where you could virtually order anything and have it delivered to your house, every American, European, Australian, global citizen got more packaging to their homes than they could have ever imagined. And for this initiative, that was a real silver lining, because all of us, me included actually, got a greater awareness of, wow, look at all this packaging. Where is it going? What's recyclable? What isn't, you know? And so that level of awareness woke consumers up. It was an awakening. And I think one of the really amazing thing is the consumer products companies, all these organizations that are making all these products that all of us buy every day, they get it. They are waking up to the fact that everybody else is asking these questions. And packaging today has become a brand attribute. Consumers are, by and large, judging brands ethically when they see their packaging. I think we're moving to a place where companies, if they don't move to a sustainable platform, will suffer financially. And so the power really is in the people. You know, the people demanding these products, that's what shifts the supply chain. And what I have seen over the last few months in particular is the consumer products companies see it and they're excited about it. They're ready to make these investments, and they're coming to companies like Atlantic and saying, we want to do this, and we want to do it on a grand scale. Companies are making major, major investments to be more sustainable in everything that they do. And they're making those commitments quickly because they understand that the consumers, you and me, are gonna reward them. And that momentum can make this change happen quickly. And a New Earth project, I want this to be a catalyst for that. I want this to be the billboard, the messaging that says, world, universe, we need to do this now.